what challenges are we facing? You know, you touched upon this kind of cycle and this feedback loop where you know, surveillance kind of pushes people into privacy tools. So what are the biggest challenges that we face right now in order to maintain this liberatory mission of crypto? You know, in the face of the increased regulation and scrutiny, what are some of the challenges, and where should we be moving towards?
Right, right. Well, there are a lot of challenges here, really. Left with the creation of the community, you know, it's not easy, and we are aware of that, but it is very much needed. As we were saying before, if you're alone, you're more vulnerable to the attacks of the system. So you need to think collectively, you need to organize collectively. And of course, community creation takes time, and it's not easy thing to do. You know, it requires effort. So that is the first challenge, naturally. Then, you know, in talking about the more economical part, so economical sovereignty, um, the current scenario is quite worrying. You know, in inflation on fiat money is quite important right now. There are wars, you know, embargoes in a lot of countries. For example, you know, in North and East Syria, where the Rojava revolution happened, they have quite a crazy situation, because, you know, relying on the fiat money of the Syrian states, which have a lot of problems, and falling under an international embargo because of the Syria regime, and then the devastating war that's been going on for years. Yeah, parts of the, you know, Turkish state and ISIS. You know, that's the type of situation which people are facing, and sometimes, I mean, when you have to think about economical sovereignty, you have to think of context like Bentham, right? There are many difficulties that you may want to face. But even in that scenario, people in North and Syria are being able to build their sovereignty, you know, through a collective lifestyle, through a collective economy. And that's no easy task, really. But the intention is that, and even if the tools are quite limited in that specific context because of all the difficulties we mentioned, you know, it's an experiment that's been going on for like 10 years, so it's working. Nothing is perfect, but it's there and it's working and it's functioning and people are relying on it. Our interesting case, I mean, difficulty and challenge that we can get is like, you know, not all people are fit to having, for example, a bank account. Yeah, not all people are fit to being visible in the eye of the state because you may have problems with your documents. You may be a refugee. You may be a politically exposed person who is facing repression. And that's the thing, you know, that's actually the thing that happens to a lot of people. And this is why we have to overcome the KYC infrastructures and create anonymous ones. And actually, there are a lot of activists who use anonymous tools, anonymous crypto, in order to survive. You know, this is the opposite of what they say, privacy for criminals. No, how privacy is for people to be able to live in a lot of context. Another challenge, we need better tech. We need to invest in good tech. We need to invest in good tools, whether it's hardware, whether it's software. We need to implement our tools. And this is what we were saying before, you know, when you mentioned the surveillance technology is constantly growing and you have evolved a lot over the years. But yeah, also privacy technology has evolved massively over the years. For example, thanks to cypherpunk movement, they did a whole lot here. They pushed the bar up and up, and they become avant-garde. basically. And then the movement, I mean, if it fit it just somehow, but we need more. We need to push the bar up. We need quality, so this is why we think having an investment fund is quite crucial, because you cannot just set with what we have. Of course, there are some already cooked tools. I'm not saying we are in a completely desperate situation, but we need more, we need better. We need to think big. We have to invest in good tools. There are a lot of good projects out there that are just waiting for so long to invest in those. That is it's a challenge, but it's also a massive opportunity that we have. Another point, I think, at least for our case, it's something we see very clearly. We need to build the narrative. As we were saying before, a lot of people not only are not educated in technology and therefore are not aware of how much they are actually exposed online, but they are also not aware of the issue of technology and privacy in the first place. If I'm not aware of what surveillance is, how can I be concerned with privacy in the first place? So creating a narrative, implementing the LunarDAO narrative, and bring it out, bring it to people, bring it on there in the internet. I think it is a big challenge for us right now. We have to make this look like something everyone can approach, because we don't really have a choice. As surveillance is there. It's already there. If not, something might happen. We are in it already. And privacy is a measure we have to take right now. There is no maybe, there is no tomorrow. No, it's something we have to do right now. So we are sure that the LunarDAO narrative provides a rather good example on how this happens. The dark cycle. So the more surveillance governments and companies impose, the more users will go dark and go anonymous, go private, etc. But this will only lead to more surveillance because, of course, this is not like a one-night battle, like, we want it, that's it. No, it's we call it a struggle, because it is. Now it's a struggle along more paths. So the more surveillance, the more anonymity, the more surveillance. So we cannot afford to sit and be like, we're good with what we have. No, we are never good with what we have. So a big challenge for us right now is how to bring our narrative out there. The narrative is there. The community is building it free. LunarDAO emerged from the LunarPunk movement, from its narrative. So we are just contributing, but a lot of people online are contributing. I don't think quite make challenge with education. And I mean, as we said before, so I won't really repeat myself. We need education in tech. We need education in privacy. We need women in technology, to be honest, because there is still quite an impressive gap. So education is something we all must aim for. No matter the level of your skills, you can always have more education on this, whether it's for technical stuff, whether it's for the narrative or like philosophy, having a vision of the world that actually is able to read the current state of things. Because really, this is not just about technology; it's also about technology, because technology is an amazing invention for humans. It's how we interact with the world, but we have to be able to read and understand the word. So philosophy is also a big part of this. So education, by education, I don't only mean learn Linux, like, yes, also, but let's talk together on how can we interpret modern day problems, how can we interpret democracy, for example, or how can we create a democratic decision-making process inside a community. So I will definitely say these are our main challenges right now. I would add one of the things which the knowledge on all of the I both mentioned and the strong kind of different stuff kind of closes the circle is to create strong analysis and understand where we are at, understanding the history and having, but not a prediction on how future will be and then be surprised if it's not going the way we expected, but rather having different outcomes and position ourselves in like anti-fragile movement however the future is gonna unravel. By that, we see how crypto basically has been seen as one of these like TradFi dollar-nominated risky assets. Now just like another kind of like correlated with the tech. We could see what was happening in when COVID hit. There was the message drawdown, but then the money printer in the US went on, and in many other states, and all of a sudden Bitcoin goes from 3K to like 70K. But because people putting this printed from air money into crypto, and everyone's kind of like hyping that, and there's this big fuck. But at the same time, this works like a temperature check for the governments who are like, oh, hold on, this is, the inflation was completely crazy, and starts to blame and scapegoating crypto. And then the reaction is that a big part of the community and the people in the crypto, and many of those leaders, the self-crowned kings, they basically try to look like a part of this traditional finance and want to like appease. But that doesn't change anything, because with stop the print money and hiking the rates, what's going on is that crypto goes sharply down, and it's almost like a nice hygiene. A lot of people start to spread FUD, and a lot of people start to be scared. But one thing it's a nice hygiene is because this literally resulted in cutting the heads off of these so-called self-crowned kings. Like we saw it with the REAC, with Suzu, we saw it with FTX, and all these charlatans out there, right? And now we are like in a situation when banks are actually getting bankrupt. We just recently saw the Silicon Valley Bank going belly up, almost, and then and again, this will be broadcasted later, so I don't know how these things will unravel, and it's not very important. But what I mean, possibilities are that the money printer is gonna be turned back on, Bitcoin's gonna sharply rally again. But we need to understand that every next rally, every next upcycle will be more hated than the one before, by media, by politicians, and by regulators especially. And the cypherpunk movement evolved. This is only my guess, like much farther than some of the early OGs would even imagine, no?
Absolutely.
But I think the best celebration of their success and give meaning to their original ideas is to address and keep developing. Because a lot of the tools which were cutting edge yesterday will not be enough against the surveillance measures tomorrow, but also in the narrative sense. And I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. Now we don't need like 100 versions of Bitcoin, which has like different logo but a same code, or 1,000 versions of Ethereum, kind of chains with much less of a liquidity, but there's still the same problems of a transparency be never solved. I actually think that celebrating Satoshi is to bring an innovation solving unresolved problems and pushing the narrative farther and bring in alternative and possibilities for people to join, because they will realize when they are once the things start to crumble, the connections and the possibilities we're trading now and the narrative we offer will be found by those who find themselves in that situation and by the curious hearts. So all of a sudden we find ourselves in a movement which is growing dramatically and quickly, and we need to be able to provide some of the solutions and if ask some of the answers, rather than to try to appease somebody to appeal to them nicely now. There'll be a moment when we will draw and scale up pretty quickly, and I'm sure about that.
Unchecked governments have eradicated privacy and truth. Those who resist are brought down swiftly, but we refuse to submit. Lunarpunks are freedom fighters, protected by encrypted shadows. The future we're building is sovereign and uncensorable. The moonlit night is coming.